So I have been working on this thing. I added an oil cooler. Taps in down here, comes up, goes through a filter that replaces what was there, through this, and then back into there. I don't really like this kit. It was like $100 off of Amazon, but the hose is way too long. So I got to figure out what to do with that. For now, I'm just going to zip tie it, but it's got to help it. It's starting to get into summer now, starting to get hot. Figure it's probably a good idea to go ahead and do this. I also adjusted the valves by taking this valve cover off, setting the clearance with a filter gauge. What else have I done? Took all this off, and let me drop this down. This table actually came in really handy for this. In doing this, I did have to replace the speedometer sensor here. I'm going to have to take some zip ties and work all this up, get my cable management done. The new cluster, it's got a tachometer and speedometer, all that stuff built into it, which is really nice. Had to run all the wires here, and I ran them into this connector. So at first I just plugged the little things. These were just loose wires, and then I realized that this connector had the neutral in it. So I had unplugged this and just manually matched all the wires up to this thing. But this green wire here was part of another loom. This purple wire is 6th gear and is useless for this particular thing. But what's nice is this will tell you what gear you're in with these wires. So whatever gear I'm in, this is going to tell me what it is. So the only goofy wire was this blue and white wire right here. And what I did is I took a pair of pliers and I shoved it into the back of this blue and white wire. That's your tachometer. So that's everything. I also have a battery connector here. Let's see, what else? I probably need to put that back on there. I've got to put my plastics back on here and a few other things. Had to take the fuel tank off. Had to take the headlight off, and I went ahead and took a picture of that headlight. I'm also, I think, going to mount myself some kind of a light down here, like a fog light that goes forward, or here. Hadn't quite figured out how I'm going to do that yet, but at some point I've got to do something to give myself a light. I might use these 2 bolts here and have one that faces out this way. So wouldn't be that hard to just make a little connector where you've got a little light that comes directly out right here and shines out. This one sucks. It's absolutely horrendous. But that's what I've done with it. So I got home and I installed that today. And then I laid down and I was going to go to bed. And it is, what time is it? I can't look at the time with my phone on. It's like 10 o'clock, maybe 11:30, I don't know. But, you know, I had bought that, the other one. And I was thinking, you know, there's a lot of wires. That's going to be a lot of stuff. I had to take the wheel off. I had to, you know, do a whole bunch of different stuff. And I was like, I'll do that later. But then I decided, you know what, I'm just going to go out there and tackle what I can and see what I get done. I really want to ride my motorcycle. I've got some pretty days coming up, and I'd really like to ride this and, you know, get some enjoyment out of this thing before I lose some of these pretty days. And so in all reality, it's like, well, if I take it apart and then I have to let it sit for a few days, I won't be able to enjoy it. But then it was like, you know what, the heck with this. I'm going to go ahead and do every bit of it. So I knew I had to take the fuel tank off to get all this stuff routed. I went ahead and did that. While I was there, I did the valve adjustment. It was super, super tight. Now this thing starts Here. Let me get it. Oh. Boy, that scared the crap out of me. It's sitting on this table. It's like, what is that noise? But it starts right up now. The valve adjustment made a huge difference, at least in getting it started. Now, I'm curious to see what it'll do going down the road. I've heard it helps it a little bit. The things that I have done, the oil cooler was one thing. The Nibby carburetor that I put in here, and what I did is everybody says the factory airbox is a piece of crap. So I actually ended up using the factory airbox to give myself like a little toolbox. I've got some adjustable wrenches, some sockets, socket set, one of these Icon. These things are so awesome. I have several of these, and they are just fantastic. So just gives me some storage. It came with some storage under the seat here, which is where I keep that, but I wanted a few extra things to be able to keep, and I just keep them here. So that worked out really well. I'm going to get this thing put back together, and I'll probably drive it to work tomorrow. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. But either way, you guys have a great day. You know, if you're sitting here wondering if I should get something done and you've got the stuff to do it, just get it done. That's one of the things I've learned. You can put stuff off and put stuff off and put stuff off. But just, I mean, I'm tired. I worked all day. Had to take my daughter to lunch to kind of help her out with some stuff. Had 5 chickens hatched in the last couple of days, and we've tried to keep 2 of them alive. Just, you know, had a lot going on. But, you know, it's worth it to just knock the stuff out and get back to it. I think I am going to order some more plastic for this. It's like $85 to replace all of the plastic pieces on this thing. I don't really like these, and they were kind of busted up when I got it, so I'm probably going to replace some of these. And I have considered, although I don't know if I will or not, getting a little windshield to go on the front of this thing. I don't know. We'll see. I've also got some of these that I'm probably going to replace their LED. These are kind of big, bulby things, and I'm going to get an LED headlight for this. So hopefully that will do the job and make a big difference in the way this thing runs. So the instructions that come with that thing were horrendous, but there were some videos online on YouTube that got me pointed in the right direction, but there were still things that the video that I watched, the guy actually did the same mistake I did and then just rolled with it, where this connector, he just plugged the wires into this connector, but then I found out later that this connector is actually what you're putting everything into. So I did that, and my neutral, this green wire here, wasn't connected, so it wouldn't start unless I held down the clutch. No matter what, I had to hold down the clutch to get it to start, which may be a good thing anyway. But I'm tickled with it. I'm telling you, for what it is. Now, I am not a motorcycle rider of any, I don't know. This is my first actual motorcycle. I've got this one that I've still got to work on. Still got a ways to go with it. I need to cut a new gasket. The gasket I made didn't exactly work too good. So all my fuel leaked right out there, which is where that piece of paper with all my instructions happened to be. So it got soaked with gasoline. That was wonderful. But I'm telling you, I love this thing. So what I am finding, though, is I can get up to about 60, and that's really about its top end. That's about where it wants to live. Anywhere above that, and really even 60 is about all she wants. So back roads are great. If I ever do anything where I want to get away from somebody, you know, get on the highway and somebody's crowding you and you want to kind of get away from them, that would be nice. I just realized, check that out. It's got a little box for tools that I had no idea was there. That's cool. Anyway, it's got a box right there that I didn't know about, so figure out how to fill that up with stuff. But one thing I am going to do is figure out a way to put some kind of a radio on this thing, 2 meter or something like that, or it may just be something else that I do where I just take like a Xiegu 6200 or something with me. I've got to buy one of those. I have found my motorcycle gloves are welding gloves. Just happened to be the quickest thing that I had on hand, and they've actually worked really well. I've actually got a leather jacket and that helmet over there. And I've got this thing that I've been using, but I might change up and get one of those bag deals that go in here and they collapse. So if you've got extra stuff, it'll hold it. What I'd really like to do, oh shoot, I stepped on my little kit. Dang it. Well, that stinks. What I'd really like to do is ride out, go camping, do stuff like that. Now, this one I think is a little bit small for it. The tank isn't very big. What I've been looking at is either a Honda 300L Rally or a Honda NX 500. So just having the experience of this one, it's a 250, but really it's not a 250. It's a 229cc, lower compression motor. I think I have run it hot a couple of times. When I first got it, I didn't realize, air-cooled engine, you don't want it to idle very long. But what I'm tempted to do is, I think it's Motocult has a jug and a piston and all that. You replace this, I think it's this part, with their kit, and it makes it an actual 250cc motor. It actually bumps up the compression, and what you end up with is a motorcycle that's got a lot more oomph to it than what this one has stock. So I've already done a little bit of that with this Nibby carburetor, but I think in order to really get what I want out of this bike, if I keep this bike and I make it my main bike, I've been thinking about those Hondas, but that's, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000. For about $300, I can just do the work on this one. And what I've actually considered doing is finding another one of these on Facebook. I've seen them where people have bought them and they sell them. You can get them for $1,200, $1,300, $1,500. And honestly, for $1,500, it would be worth buying one more of these, letting my kids play on it, learn on it, and all that stuff. But buy another one and actually immediately tear it down, put in the Motocult thing, put in a nice oil cooler, just take my time, and I've got this one to ride in the meantime. I just think that might be the way to go. So I think I'm going to try that, find myself something that will do that, and go from there. But I'm telling you, this is a Hawk 250 from Amazon. I got it secondhand. I wasn't the one that originally got the thing, but I traded a van that I didn't want for it and have ended up with a hobby that is probably going to be something I'll do for the rest of my life. I've really enjoyed this. And I also like to tinker. Probably the next thing I'm going to do is the exhaust. There is a aftermarket exhaust that a lot of people put on this. There's a guy on YouTube, Bodie, I think is his name, and he does that. He's got a different exhaust on his, and it seems to work out pretty good for him. And that seems to be the two things: the carburetor and the exhaust open it up quite a bit. And then to go from there, you would do that bigger kit on the thing here. So, but really, what I've found is this one does almost everything I want it to do. It just needs a little bit more torque. I did replace the front sprocket, and I've got a new rear sprocket for it and a chain somewhere around here that will maybe go on it eventually. But what I found is with the front sprocket, it gives me, pretty decent amount of what I want. It does give me a little bit higher top speed, but I also lost some torque. And so I think if I were to replace this with a little bit more torquey piston with a little bit higher compression that gives me a little bit more oomph, I might be able to go ahead and put that other sprocket on there and get up to about 70, which is kind of what I'd like to be able to do. I'd like to be able to go about 70, comfortably without feeling like I'm going to blow the bike up. But either way, that's what I've been doing here lately. I know a lot of you talk, I don't know why you subscribe to this channel, but a lot of it I noticed when I started doing ham radio stuff, that seemed to pick up a few people. So I'm sorry I've been doing this lately, but I am a little bit spastastic. I do a little bit of everything, and I have way too many hobbies. But one of the things I want to do with this is ham radio stuff incorporated with this. I want to be able to go out, do POTA and soda and stuff like that, and get to where I'm going with this thing. So traveling light. This battery is what came with it. I'm probably going to upgrade that to something different, and I'm actually going to do some kind of Anderson power pole setup to kind of come over to here. And I thought about getting some solar panels, those roll-up solar panels that can charge that battery, but where I could actually use this. This one does have a Kickstarter, so if you run the battery dead, you can fire it off with a Kickstarter and get going, and that would actually charge my battery up. But some of the stuff I've done, I've used those Hercules tool batteries here lately, and I thought about when you're going down the road, you could strap a bigger battery or some way of charging a battery with your ham radio gear on the back. And when you get where you're going, 2, 3, 4 hours of use. And if you've got a solar panel that maybe will charge your little portable battery, in addition to this, where you could fire this up and maybe take a little trip and charge your battery while you're driving it. Thought that would be kind of nifty. But anyway, it's just something to fiddle with. So you guys have a good day. Bye.